There are days when you look at your life and realizes that on paper everything looks right. You have a place to live. He has commitments. There are even those who admire you. But inside, there is a tiredness that has no name. It's not physical. It's as if the soul has lost its home address. You get up, do tasks, say good morning, smile. But inside, something doesn't seem alive. It's hard to explain this to others, even because you yourself don't really understand. You just feel like something important is missing. And this absence screams, just at times when everything should be fine. There are people who feel this way after achieving something. A promotion, a diploma, an ideal relationship. Others feel when everything calms down. And suddenly the silence shows what the noise hid. The truth is, you may have done everything right, and yet, feeling deeply wrong. There is a Brazilian writer called Clarice Lispector. She didn't write to be pretty. She wrote to be true. And there is a phrase from her that perhaps describes what you are experiencing. I have all the dreams in the world within me, but I lack the most important thing, meaning. Clarice did not talk about failure. She spoke of emptiness, from that emotional hole that appears, even when everything seems to be going well. The pain of feeling disconnected doesn't come because life went wrong. She shows up when life feels right, but it doesn't look like yours. You start to wonder, is this what I came into the world for? Is this really what they call adulthood? Why can't I feel whole anywhere? And the cruelest part, you can't talk about it with anyone, because they will say it is ingratitude, that you have more than many, that I should be happy. But no one sees the gap between being alive and feeling alive. This is emptiness in disguise. It doesn't show itself as despair. It disguises itself as routine, of productivity, successful. It's an emptiness that smiles in the photos, that delivers results, that keeps everything running. But at night, when the cell phone goes silent, he whispers, all this, is it really you? You are not sick. You are being called to look within with more courage, called to stop following ready-made scripts, called to remember who you were before you started pleasing everyone. This feeling is not the end. It's the beginning of a difficult but real journey. It was like that with a lot of people, with artists, philosophers, ordinary people who one day stopped and said, enough, I can't live on autopilot anymore. Because no matter how much you have achieved, if it doesn't make sense, you'll get sick. And when something inside you gets sick, the rest begins to crumble silently. Don't ignore this. This inconvenience could be your salvation. This emptiness is perhaps the only space inside you that is still true. It's still pure. It has not yet been colonized by the shoulds and have-tos. You don't need to fill that void in a hurry. Maybe he's not asking for filling. Maybe he's asking to be listened to. Maybe this is just the beginning of what one day you will call yourself. Maybe this emptiness is not an end. Maybe this is just the beginning of what one day you will call yourself. But to get there, you'll have to face a hard truth. Not everything you experience was your choice. Maybe the college you attended, the place you live, the relationships you have, all of these were, in part, decided by someone other than the whole you. It was you trying to please, trying to prove worth, trying to be accepted, and in that, something was lost. The body continued to function. The agenda remained full, but the soul took a back seat. You look at your own life and feel like you're in a script, but it wasn't you who wrote it. This is where the feeling starts to tighten. It's not despair. It's a kind of quiet discomfort that begins to whisper between the lines of routine. You do everything right, but he feels like he's not whole anywhere. This echo is not imagination. It's a calling, a reminder that you've been away from yourself for so long, that now you don't even know who you are anymore. For years you may have lived with work mode on, doing what they expected, reacting the way they taught, following the script they promised to call adult life. And in the beginning, maybe it even worked. You have been praised, rewarded, included. But little by little, he began to feel like he was there, only halfway, present, but not belonging, apparently fine, but invisible inside. This is where the idea of persona comes in, a concept brought by Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist who delved deep into the layers of the human psyche. The persona is the mask we use to live together. It serves to protect, organize, adapt. But when the mask becomes a face, something breaks. You start to forget who is behind you. Maybe you were always the strong one in the family, or what doesn't give work, or what carries them all. And now, you begin to realize that this was not a virtue. It was survival. You became what the environment needed, but not what you really were. And when that realization comes, she doesn't scream. It corrodes slowly. You start declining invitations without knowing why. You feel tired even without making an effort. Look in the mirror and see nothing in your eyes. It's the void trying to warn. The life you are living does not have you in it. The cruelest part of all this is that on the outside, you seem fine. No one suspects what is happening, because you have learned to play that role to perfection. But inside, he is tired. Tired of lying for politeness, to smile out of obligation, to accept what hurts, just to keep the peace. This peace is not peace. It's conformism. And it comes at a high price. The forgetting of who you are. You don't have to explode. I don't sum it up, nor change everything at once. But you need to start listening. That echo that bothers you is the voice of a part of you that wants to come back. Return from the exile you created by adapting too much, by giving in too much, by expecting too much from others and from yourself. It's time to rescue what was left behind, not as an act of revolt, but as a gesture of dignity, because living a life that isn't yours is one of the slowest ways to die, and yet you carry on, not out of weakness, but because for so long you were told that was it. This version of you that you offer to the world, organized, helpful, predictable, has been praised, and you learn to confuse praise with love, acceptance with truth. But there comes a time when the body goes, the mind pretends, and the heart just watches, silent, as the theater continues. This is where something deeper begins to emerge. The question no one asked. Who are you when you're not trying to be anyone? Many people spend their lives believing that there is only one, as if there were a definitive, fixed, immutable I. But what if this I that you defend is just a habit? Maybe you've never stopped to notice this, but the person you believe yourself to be, with your fears, tastes, ideas, and reactions, may not be an essence. It might just be repetition. Neuroscience has shown that our brain is plastic. That is, it changes. It adapts, reconfigures memories, behaviors, impulses. What we call I may be just a set of conditioned reactions. And Carl Jung, who spent his life immersed in the depths of the human mind, said something similar. The self you show to the world is often a functional fiction. Functional fiction, in other words, a useful character, but still, a character. Maybe you're stuck on the idea that you're someone specific. I'm shy. I'm explosive. I've been like this since I was a child. But is that really true? Or have you just gotten used to responding in certain ways, to certain people in certain environments? If you had grown up somewhere else and with other references and other fears, and would it be the same person? These questions are not meant to deconstruct you. They are to set you free. Because as long as you believe that it is like this, you close the door to what could be. Transformation doesn't happen because you become someone else. It happens because you stop supporting an old version of yourself that no longer serves you. So if anything needs to be said now, it's just this. Stop repeating what they said you were. Labels are shortcuts for others to understand you quickly, but they are prisons when you start believing in them. You are not in crisis. It is in process. And process is not a mess, is movement. Don't try to fit in again. This time allow yourself to change, even if no one understands, even if you don't understand it yet, because what's moving in there, it's you starting to be truly born. And one is not born in peace if you are born in confusion. No manual, no promise. This is how it starts, with a strangeness that no one sees. You keep working, talking, delivering, but inside, something changed, and you still don't know what. It's as if the world remains the same, and only you had turned inside out. Things remain in their places, but what once seemed right now bothers you. You listen to a conversation and feel a slight impatience. Open a social network and something tires you. It's in the same place as always, but as if it were far from everything. There's no way to explain it, but we can't pretend that everything is fine anymore. That's where it starts, not with a decision, but with one inconvenience. Silent. persistent, almost invisible. It's what makes you stop for a few seconds in the middle of the day and think, am I really living or just passing through the hours? It is he who turns silence into a burden. That makes joy seem staged. That makes you miss you. And that's not weakness. It is the beginning of lucidity, because you start to notice the little lies you've been holding on to. The everything is fine said out of habit. The of course when I wanted to say no. The never mind when I wanted to scream. All of this is starting to get harder to repeat. Not because you became someone else, but because you're finally getting honest with how you feel. And it's not pretty at first. It's strange. It's a guilt trip. It's scary. You wonder if you are becoming cold, ungrateful, complicated. But what is actually happening is simple. You stopped cheating on yourself. And the first thing that appears when you stop cheating on yourself, it's the pain of everything you've silently accepted. It comes in the form of pent-up anger, of tears that have no reason, from irritation over small things. But there is a reason. You are coming to your senses, and the way back sometimes is noisy, inside. So if you can do one thing right now, is not to run away from it. Just don't run away. You don't need to solve it. Just feel. Let it come. Let it hurt. Because that's what starts to happen when you get closer to who you really are. Everything that was swallowed rises to the surface. And then, yes, the most difficult moment begins. And most importantly, because everything you threw in the dark will start to come back. Not to punish you, but to free you. And being free sometimes is losing ground. It doesn't happen overnight, but one day, you wake up and feel that the things that sustained your life, they no longer hold anything. The work that defined you now feels like noise. The relationship that used to calm you down now puts pressure on you. Even your own thoughts sound repeated, as if they were someone else's. You try to follow, but everything seems fragile, and you begin to realize that much of what you called certainty, it was just fear disguised as structure. This is where it starts to fall apart. You begin to doubt what you have held on to for years, not because he became someone else, but because he started to really look. And when you really look, there's no turning back, because what was love becomes need. What was stability becomes prison. What was identity becomes a mask. And you feel like you're losing everything. But what are you really missing? It's just what was never yours. The image he built. The version that kept standing to please. The story he told to remain accepted. It's like a silent dismantling. It doesn't hurt to scream. It hurts to empty. You try to hold on to something but nothing else holds. And in the midst of this, a feeling appears. I don't know who I am anymore. This is the phrase that comes when the old me collapses, and there is still no new one to take his place. It's confusing. It's lonely. It's scary, but it's real. Clarice Lispector wrote, "Freedom is not enough. What I desire does not yet have a name." She wasn't being cryptic. I was being honest. Clarice was a woman who never fit properly into the definitions. Nem na literatura nem na vida. She knew that there are times when even freedom is small for those who started to desire something they can't even explain. And maybe you are living this right now. You don't want to go back anymore, but you still don't know where to go, because what you want doesn't have a name yet. It's strange, but that's how it starts. When everything you were is no longer useful, and all that you can be has not yet appeared, you are not lost. You are in process. And the process doesn't speed up. It crosses. And when everything inside you seems to have fallen apart, when there is no one left to be, that's where another idea begins. You didn't come to find yourself. He came to create himself. This sentence may seem strange, because for so long you've been told that you should discover who you are, as if your identity was hidden in some corner waiting to be found. But maybe it isn't. What if what you're looking for doesn't exist yet? What if there is nothing fixed to find, just space to build? That's scary, because it leaves us without a manual, no map, no excuse, but also liberating. Friedrich Nietzsche, a 19th century German philosopher, understood this in a brutal way. Nietzsche was not a library thinker. He was someone who had experienced real breakups, breaks with religion, with family, with the idea of absolute truth. He became isolated, sick, misunderstood. But in the midst of this personal dismantling, he wrote something that spans centuries. Get back to who you are. It's not a pretty phrase. It's a summons. He didn't say accept who you are, nor find your true self. He said, become, take responsibility, choice, create, even if no one understands. Nietzsche believed that the self is not something that is discovered ready-made. It is something that is built with difficult choices, with conscious ruptures, with the courage to lose belonging, to gain presence. And that's what might be starting to happen to you. The idea that there is a real you waiting to be discovered begins to fade, and in its place comes something more raw. You can become. This changes everything, because now, the meaning is not out. It is not hidden in a forgotten past. It's not in any other. It's in what you choose to sustain. And that's not light. It's a new kind of responsibility. Before, it was easy to say, I did it because it was expected. Now, there's no more excuse. You are free, but now you have to choose and sustain what you choose. It's not about changing your life. It's about changing the bond with her. Stop being a passenger and start taking the wheel, not like someone who controls everything, but as someone who commits to their own path, even without having all the answers. Because maybe I never will. But now at least you know you're walking a path that's yours and not borrowed. And that changes everything. Because from that moment on, no one will give you a ready-made meaning. There is no manual. There is no revelation. There's only you, choosing what continues. The truth is that meaning does not appear as an answer. It is built on the friction between what you feel and what you choose to hold. It's in the I can't take this anymore, followed by, but I'm going to keep going with this, that a real meaning is born. Not because it's pretty, but because it's yours. Carl Jung spent his life trying to understand what makes someone whole, and what he found was not a formula. It was a process. He called it individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, but not by enlightenment, by integration. What does this mean? That the meaning of your life is not lost within you like a hidden treasure. It's made of the parts you rejected, the memories you silenced, of the desires you learned to hide, and the courage to look at all of this and still continue. It has no shine. You have a choice. There is the silence that you decide to listen to. It has the value you refuse to give up. There is the truth that you are willing to carry, even when you are tired. The meaning arises from this, of what you don't let go of, even when no one understands why you don't let go, of what you continue, even when everything asks you to stop, and no one is going to tell you what that is. Only you feel, only you know, only you can continue. The meaning is not in what happens. It's in what you choose to do with what happens, in what you sustain, day after day, without needing applause. And this is not about being strong. It's about being whole, even broken, even uncertain, even with fear. Because now you're no longer waiting for a sign. You are making your presence the sign. And then you start saying what you think, doing what you feel, to no longer accept what you have always accepted. And what comes after that? No one prepares you. You start to bother. People who used to praise you now turn away. Connections that seemed strong begin to fade. You notice looks you didn't see before, phrases said with disdain, silences that cut more than screams. All because you stopped smiling when you didn't feel like it. He stopped bending over backwards to be accepted. Living without a mask seems beautiful, but it hurts. It hurts because it reveals. It shows who was with you, or the role you played. And you miss it, not of the character, but the illusion of belonging. This is where Nietzsche becomes most necessary. He wrote about the strength that comes when you choose your own truth, even if she leaves you alone. For him, truly living wasn't about fitting in. It was about affirming who you are, even if it cost you old ties. He knew freedom charges, but submission demands more. You begin to realize that being accepted for who you are not, you suffer, and being left out for being honest, freeze. It is painful, yes, but it's the kind of pain that cleanses, that restores your dignity. Because now who stays? Stay because he sees you, and whoever goes has never been there. This is the difference between loneliness and integrity and the company of lies. And when you feel this, even sad, even tired, you breathe differently, because ultimately, you are alone with those who can handle your truth, starting with you. You spent so much time searching. A sense, one direction, an approval, a love that would cure what you yourself couldn't name. Tried to follow formulas. He adapted. It went out. He did everything to make it work, to be what they expected. And yet I felt empty, a feeling of always being outside, even surrounded, even accepted. Today, after falling so much, from having lost so much, you started to see the answer you were looking for was not in anyone, not anywhere, nor in any beautiful idea about yourself. The answer was the part of you that you avoided the most, the one who screams when you try to shut her up, the one that insists when you want to run away, the one that asks for truth, even when everything asks for silence. Carl Jung said that what you need most is where you least want to look. And maybe now, you are, for the first time, able to look, without judging yourself, without deviating. No pretending. You are not ready. Never was. But it is available. Present. Real. And that is the beginning of everything. Not to be perfect, but to be whole. Now, you no longer need to run after meaning, because you are the one who creates it. Every time you choose not to abandon yourself. It's you with your imperfect story, with your unhealed pains, with its real limits, with your courage to continue. You are the starting point, and also the point of return. Nothing will make sense until you stop looking outside and start becoming inside. And when that happens, you don't need to explain yourself anymore. You are enough. And if you felt it, leave it in writing. I'm here for myself. It may seem like little, but choosing for yourself was never small. And if you felt it, leave it in writing. I'm here for myself. Choosing for yourself is not easy, but it is what puts an end to a life that was not yours.